Is that okay? Are we allowed to bring that up?
Wow.
No.
No, I'm sorry. That was not a pre-approved question.
All you have to do is point to the rings on your finger, and it puts me back in my place. And our next special guest is a man that many have been waiting for. Rainn, it's great to catch up with you. I realize it's been a while since the chess world got to see you, since Pogchamps 3. So how has your chess life been since Pogchamps 3?
You know, I've taken a little time off, Danny.
Yeah.
I went into a retirement. It took a lot out of me. Like Magnus,
Yeah.
You know, sometimes I need to decompress.
Well, you know, I know that because I feel like it was almost every day there for a bit, and then we had this plan, man. We had a plan to do chess more regularly, and then you got busy. You're kind of busy, I guess. So.
Well, I dropped the ball a little bit, truth be told. So I go in phases with chess.
Yeah.
Like I'm very, I think like a lot of chess players, I'm a little bit OCD. So when I go in, I go deep in, and it's kind of like every day, and it's, you know, half an hour, at least an hour every day. And then it kind of overwhelms me. And then I start losing a bunch of games and playing poorly. And then I'm like, oh, screw this. And then I kind of need to, so I'm about ready to come back in. So maybe we'll get our lessons going again.
Yep.
Did you enjoy competing in Pogchamps? What were some of your biggest takeaways? And were you also nervous at all?
Yeah, so that's what, like, you know, I'm an actor and I come from the theater and, you know, do talk shows and in front of audiences and streaming. And, you know, I don't really get nervous anymore. I used to early on. But all of a sudden, when my first game, I was playing someone who I was far better than, but I blundered my queen. I was just like, because I was just like, all of a sudden, I'm like, oh man, there's 40,000 people watching me take this next move, and the clock is ticking.
Yep.
And yeah, I didn't kind of realize how much nerves would come to play in the game of chess.
Yeah. Well, we like to remind everybody when this is a chess show, right, of people's love for chess before we dive into some questions. We got some questions for you and about some of the stuff you're doing right now, but tell everybody real quick again the story of how you got into chess and when you learned the game and what you love about it most.
When are we going to talk about our fantasy football league?
I was waiting to bring it up. Do you want to talk about how you crushed me when we were head to head, or the fact that we can't believe that Pedram is winning? Which topic comes first?
Those are both good topics. They're both very true. You're above 500 with a 7-6 record. That's pretty impressive.
Well, last time I checked, you're 8-4, right?
I'm 8-5. I'm in 5th place, but looks like I'll be going to the playoffs. Looks like you will not.
Although I was going to use the inappropriate time to remind you of how my Cardinals are doing versus the Seahawks, but is that
rough time to be a Seahawks fan.
Is that okay? Are we allowed to bring that up?
Wow.
No.
No, I'm sorry. That was not a pre-approved question.
All you have to do is point to the rings on your finger, and it puts me back in my place. But anyway, man, yeah.
And the name of our fantasy football league is again?
Can we say that on here? It is. Do you want to say it, or should I say it?
You should say it, because I think the chess world needs to hear you say these two words.
It is teeny peeny.
That's right.
That is right.
Oh boy, what did I walk into?
You walked into a private world we live in terms of our fantasy football league, and let's say draft night, and go ahead, Rainn.
Yeah, but so I grew up. My dad taught me chess, and then I started playing, and I found I was pretty good at it. I was not a prodigy at all. There's always that one kid in the school or two kids in the school that can just all of a sudden watch some games, read some books, and they're instantly a 1400 level chess player. That was not me. But I was on the chess team at Shorecrest High School in Seattle. My freshman and sophomore year, we competed a lot. We went to state championships one of those years, and I was 4th board, usually, sometimes 5th board. My record and the school team was pretty good, but anytime I went to go play a chess tournament, like a weekend tournament or day-long tournament, I entered like 4 or 5 of those. I just lost. I just got obliterated. I get nervous, and start sweating and just blunder. And I was really bad at that. But, you know, I've always had this on again, off again love affair with chess. And sometimes I dive in and get my game up, and sometimes I don't.
Is there a favorite opponent you have in the acting world?
Actually, Paul Lieberstein, aka Toby from The Office, we've played a few times. He's pretty darn good. I usually beat him. I think we've only played a handful of times, but he's tough. He's a wily adversary.
Well, you mentioned you weren't a prodigy. None of us were prodigies when it comes to comparing ourselves to Magnus Carlsen, but you had the pleasure of interviewing Magnus years ago on your Soul Pancake show, which was the first time that I, as a fan of you and Magnus, was like, oh, wow, Rainn plays chess, right? Before we even got connected on chess.com, and years before the fantasy football league that we shall not name again. But tell us what that was like, interviewing Magnus.
Tiny P9.
Tell us what that was like. And for those who missed it, you should just Google right now, Soul Pancake, Rainn Wilson, Magnus Carlsen. You'll get it. You recently kind of relaunched this show into a podcast, right? And so tell us about the interview with Magnus Carlsen before we talk about kind of the relaunching of Metaphysical Milkshake.
Yeah, so Metaphysical Soul Pancake was a YouTube channel and digital media company that I launched with some friends, and it was all about digging into life's biggest human questions, profound topics, but in a joyful way. And I had a show called Metaphysical Milkshake, which was a talk show in the back of my van. And I was really, Magnus was just on the scene. I don't know how old he was at the time. Maybe he was 22 or something like that. But he was just taking the world by storm. I'm like, we got to get him on the show. And some people said, you know, he's a tough interview. You know, he doesn't reveal a whole lot. And some people were like, oh, you got more out of him in that interview than anyone else has ever been able to. But we had a nice conversation. We kicked the soccer ball a little bit on breaks. We played just a terrible speed chess match, which I just blundered 5 moves in and lost a bishop. And then it was just like, and he just like, I think it was 2-minute bullet chess, and he just tore me apart, you know. But yeah, he's amazing, you know. And it's interesting because I was just watching King Richard about Venus and Serena Williams and their dad. And so I thought it was a terrific movie. And Venus and Serena they'll be legends, you know. Human history, 1,000 years from now, you're going to point to the greatest tennis people that have moved the game forward. Those sisters are going to be at the top of the heap. And I think Magnus is going to be the same way. I mean, he's already in legendary status, and I think a few more world championships. I mean, it's going to be really hard to dethrone what he's done.
So you say a few more. So in the debate of Garry Kasparov and Magnus Carlsen, you still have Garry, it sounds like.
They're pretty even at this point. So I would say he's got to get like 2 more wins. I mean, he's got this one clinched, let's face it. But, you know, a couple more wins, and then it's like clearly Magnus. Like, it's like Serena needs to win like 1 more major, you know, and she's chasing that 1 more major. Like, that's what it's going to take to lock it.
Well, it makes me think with the relaunching of the Metaphysical Milkshake now as a podcast, you guys are talking about all the deep stuff, but when are you going to have another chess episode? Maybe get Magnus back on there. I think that's the deepest topic to discuss is chess.
You know, that is a great idea. And Magnus, if you're watching, oh, wait, you're probably not watching. Because he hates chess.com. He doesn't want anything to do with you guys.
Oh, man.
He's got playmagnus.com and or something like that.
It's Play Magnus.
Anyway.
Yeah.
But sorry to give props.
Hey, no, all props given. We are all in Magnus Carlsen's world today. And he doesn't actually hate chess.com, for the record, privately. It's just business at this time. But yes, thank you.
No, I know that's true. No, that's a great idea. He'd be an amazing guest. We'd love to have. In fact, I think I have some contact information for him. So that is a good idea. I'm going to reach out and try and get him on the show. That would be amazing.
Hey, just talk about Play Magnus while he's there, if you would. And, you know.
Give it a boost.
Give it a boost.
Absolutely. Yeah. But, Danny, you were kind of fangirling earlier during the match. I was watching some of the streaming, and you were talking about his his ruthlessness and the way he closes out matches. But how would you could just summate, what makes Magnus the greatest of all time? How would you do that?
Oh man. Wow. Now I'm on the spot. I would say I do believe he's the greatest of all time, and I would say that what makes him but I give him the nudge over Gary is I feel like he's the most versatile chess champion, for lack of an all-inclusive word, that we've ever seen. I think that Magnus is also the most mentally tough, and that you almost never see him beat himself. And I think he sets an example with that stuff. I mean, like you tuned in when I was calling him ruthless, because I believe that what defines him is a character that I've read sports psychology books, and they call them, the great white sharks, if you will, or they classify these different mindsets that the greatest athletes have. And it's like this supreme level of confidence and comfort with himself and who he is that allows him to never get rocked. It allows him to have the shortest term memory lost if he ever does make a rare mistake. And you just don't see any type of non-important factor ever affect Magnus Carlsen's game. And when you combine that with his ability to win in any fashion, which, not that Gary Kasparov wasn't incredible, and he's known as this brutal sort of bully, kind of like Magnus is at the board, just a bully in terms of he takes what he wants. But I feel like Magnus is even more versatile, and his ability to create opportunities for people to go wrong is why he wins games where we say often, like, you weren't supposed to win that game. But throughout his career, Rainn, I can tell you, following him for the last 2 decades, I've had more moments of saying, you weren't supposed to win that game, and Magnus won the game. And to me, it's that combined with his versatility and his mental toughness that just puts him above the rest.
Yeah, and to go on top of that, people chalk it up to luck often.
Yeah.
But I think with Magnus Carlsen, he creates his own luck.
Yeah.
And he's sort of a throwback player, because we're in an age where engines and neural nets, there's just so much more at your fingertips in terms of resources. And yet he doesn't play the sharpest opening lines. He's not trying to out-prepare people in these 20-move theoretical battles. He's like a throwback to the likes of Capablanca. People often make that comparison because his endgame skill is second to none, where he is able to squeeze advantages like nobody else. The position looks dry. Everybody else would shake hands and make a draw. And Max like, wait, I have this little idea here that if my opponent doesn't play with pinpoint accuracy, they're going to fall into a trap, or I'm going to be able to increase my edge. So kind of like what Danny was saying, there is this fear of him, but it's very well deserved. It's not just reputation based. It's proven time and time and time again, no matter who his opponent is.
Yeah. Thanks for that question, Rainn. That was really great. And
very well said. Very well said.
Yeah. Well, I want to give a shout out again to the charity that you co-founded, Lide Haiti, and it was the charity you represented, Pogchamps 3. If you would, please tell everybody again what that charity's about, and maybe a little bit of information on where they can find it. We want to give that another shout out here to the chess community, and please go ahead, take it away.
Well, as us chess players know, there's nothing more important than education. And if you want to achieve societal change and social change and economic parity, education is the way to go. So Lide Haiti, that's Lide Haiti.org, is a nonprofit that does girls' education in rural Haiti. We work with about 800 girls in about 11 locations, and we do scholarships. We have a mobile computer lab. We do arts, literacy, and try and help move these girls out from kind of a life of economic serfdom in a way to some other possibilities. And it's been incredibly gratifying and satisfying. Things are really rough in Haiti right now politically, but we're just soldiering on, trying to educate girls and bring the light of education to people. So yeah, you can check out our website, Lide Haiti, or our Instagram, Lide Haiti.
Awesome, man. Well, last question. I guess the floor is yours. Any other projects? Let us know, besides Magnus joining the Metaphysical Milkshake podcast, and besides you dominating the playoffs in our fantasy football league, where I will be on the outside looking in. Any other projects to let us know about? Like any movies you're doing? Tell us things that you're not supposed to say.
Oh. I cut off Steve Carell's pinky finger in a bar fight.
That was you?
Yeah. So anytime you see him with 10 fingers, that's CGI.
Oh, wow.
It's been digitized onto his hand. No, I've just wrapped a couple of cool projects,
Cool.
some movies, always, developing some more, but there's nothing really to talk about right now.
Cool.
So just a pleasure to be on the show, and thanks you guys for providing great coverage, and onwards.
Cool, man. Well, thank you so much, and best of luck in the playoffs. I will literally be rooting for you. I really still don't know how Pedrom's team had the record that it did. So good luck there, and I'll see you next time, man.
Okay.
Bye.
See you, Rainn.
Bye, guys. Thank you.